Hey guys, Heidi here, a TNH Automotive. I haven't put up a video in a while. Frankly, just been really busy. But right now I'm working on my 5 Series. It's a 2007 BMW 550i. Chassis is an E60, engine is an N62. The last video I think we put up, we did the front seal. No, I didn't do the AC belt. I'm going to have to do that. Had to buy a special clamp for that. That was something I'm going to tackle here pretty soon. What I'm having issues with, which is common on a couple different series actually, is the harness for the throttle body. And it shoots codes. In fact, it pushes it into limp mode and shoots codes about the potentiometer, like several, like 1 through 3, 1 through 4, potentiometers not functioning properly, or I don't know the codes off the top of my head, but it'll state potentiometer. So what I first originally did was I cleaned out the connector to the throttle body, because I know that the throttle body isn't bad. And I cleaned it out with some electronics cleaner, and then I put dielectric grease in there, and then I reconnected it, and boy did I was fine for a couple months where I didn't have any issues or problems. And not at all. It didn't go limp mode, nothing. Acted fine, ran perfectly, was great. So the next thing to do, it shot codes. It's been kicking codes, the same codes, goes into limp mode. Stop the car, clear the codes, start the car back up as if nothing happened. So I know that this is a common problem on a couple different series, like 3 Series, 1 Series, 4 Series, 5 Series. It is not something that is just relative to this series. And what it suggested is the whole harness from where it connects to the throttle body up until like the carriage, this plastic, is somewhere within here is brittle, deteriorated, broken down, and it's not giving the correct signals that it needs to function properly, so the car shuts you down every time. So what I did was I ordered my harness, which was inexpensive. It was like $20 some, and it's a BMW part, original BMW, because they knew that this was an issue. And here's the new harness. Now the wiring colors are not the same, and I was prepared for that issue. So as you can see on the harness here on the car, that's still on the car, you have like, and try to make it to where it doesn't focus in on my fingers, yellow, you have more of a blue, yellow, black, white, all blue, white, black, and then looks like a green, white, something like that. And it's supposed to be green, not blue. So, and on the new harness, just kind of see it better. Green, white, blue, yellow, black, yellow, blue, yellow. So, or just follow along. This one is green, white, black, yellow, white, red, green, green, white, and yellow. So I know off the top of my head 3 of them automatically I can swap out. The other couple I'm gonna have to like pretty much guess. Now I'm thinking, because the black, white, the solid blue is the green, the solid yellow is the yellow. I'm assuming that the white blue or the yellow blue on here is the yellow white or the white green, and I'm gonna assume this. And the black green or the black yellow is the green red. I'm basically going by green when I put this on. So what I'm gonna do is cut this off, strip these down, connect them, solder them and heat shrink them, put them back in the carriage, put it back together, and see how this goes. Because unfortunately, even though this is a BMW harness, it doesn't match the colors 100%. And I wouldn't recommend trying to pull one of these off of a N62 from like years 04 to 2010, because there's a potential risk that the harness is faulty inside that used harness. So I'm be honest with you, I'm guessing. So we're gonna see if this is gonna work this way. I'm not gonna cut too much down because I mean you can fold bend these up. These are all stranded lines anyway. Take this back a little bit. I don't know if I open this up I'm gonna see some type of like frailing or just broken underneath the jackets, the wires. I don't know. I do know that this is the next step in the issue is a major new harness install. So not a major, but it is good to have soldering skills. And then you just heat shrink it, and then put it back in its harness here. It slides, the connector slides under here, and then it runs the front of the purge valve, and then connects right here. So this is not that complicated of an actual job. So, well, like I said, I had the harness. That's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need a soldering iron. It doesn't matter what kind. I do use flux sometimes. The solder that I have has flux in it. It's no clean. And then you're gonna need wire strippers. These are 20. These wires are 20, I believe. I'm gonna test that one out. They're either 20 or 18. I'm assuming they're 20. They look more like 20. The only other thing that I did before I even started this was I just took part of the ductwork off the throttle body in here, and I disconnected the mass airflow sensor. And then I put this metal bracket here on this side. It's just unscrews. There's two screws right there. They're star bits. They're T30s that come off, and then I just pop this up from all its clips. So it's a little bit inconveniently in a way, but I don't want to take off all the plastic to pull it out of the way completely. I don't need to. I could just move it out of the way as I'm working. And then here is the actual, and if you look this up, I got it from a company in Ohio, and it comes with heat shrink, and it comes with these little metal, I don't know what these are, little cylinder. I don't know if they're crimpers. They're like little cylinders. I don't know what those are for, or if they're for, I honestly don't know. Those little metal, I don't know what those are for. And it comes with heat shrink, which I don't need. I have heat shrink. But this is the actual BMW part number right here. So it is an OE part. So that you'll need for this particular thing. So I'm gonna get things started, and I'm gonna do what they call like a lap solder, where you take two ends of the wire and you twist them together in a vertical or a horizontal fashion, not like a twisty tie or how you're twisting a bread tie, so that they lay together and twist, and then you solder, making pretty much one straight line. So I'm gonna get started on that. Okay, sorry about the actual camera footage. Might not be as bright. My light has died. The wires are actually 18s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, and I'm going to probably strip off like a quarter worth of room. Might do ½ inch just to have the extra copper to redo this. Some of these are already stripped. I don't know if I'm not going to do that. I like the direct. I'm going to use a crimp or something. Even in putting in stereos, I don't put in a those plastic connectors and you crimp. I directly hardwire electronics, just because I know that it is a good connection all the way around. I mean, I work electrical assembly my whole life. So my dad was an electrician. I used to work for him. So I've done a lot of electrical, whether car or residential, manufacturing. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to cut this harness here. And I had some. And I don't know, I honestly don't know if there's any type of physical in this, like any type of visual evidence that, any type of like visual evidence out of this old harness that I could see. I could take it apart and look at it. It could be the connector itself is deteriorated, broken down. That there's a pin that's not, and I know that's not coming in properly. That's better. That there's a pin in here that's broken down, or that the strands have completely broken down from being disconnected, moved over the years. I don't know. All I know is that this is like the best way to go about it. Okay, so also what you're going to need is a heat gun, heat shrink, solder. This is really thin solder. Have your soldering iron and everything set up, and heat gun, and then heat shrink, solder, and then you can use flux if you want to. That flux. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Solder has flux in it. So what I'm gonna do is start out by, and these are 18 gauge. So we're going to do an 18 gauge heat shrink. And yeah, I set everything up on the car. Probably not the best idea, but first wire I'm going to start with is the one all the way at the end. Plus it's one I know that matches. And that is the black and white. So that's quite a bit of heat shrink. You can always cut your heat shrink down. You don't have to use so much. I mean, it's quite a bit. Let's see, let me get an additional light. Let me make it a little bit brighter with what I'm doing. Okay. Now everybody should be able to see that better. Clear. Right now what I'm doing is I'm going to strip down the black and white wire is what I'm going to start out with. Which is right here. And I'm only going to take off about 1/4 of an inch. A little bit further on that one. Yeah, it's easy on the other harness to go back. So that's what I call a lap solder. As you intertwine the two, like this, in a long direction. Like that. Wrap around properly. And then, come on, get off me. Soldering 101. Start from the center and let the solder flow, because what's going to happen is that, and these are old, you can tell old copper, soldering old copper. Let the heat flow. Clean that up. So 1 second. So I'm gonna clean that connection up. And I know right now it's excessively hard to see. Let me see if I can bring it a little bit more. And you see like the solder's kind of hanging down. Like there. This is a flux brush that I have. Just need a little bit. That's why I say you can. And these are old. This harness is old. This harness is not. The original wires is old. Copper breaks down. We know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reflow so it makes one solid line. And then you can see that alright. So then I'm going to let that cool off. 600, 700 degrees, somewhere around there. I don't know. Top of my head. The next wire I'm going to do, because I'm going to do the ones. Now, I didn't cut much off this harness. So, I mean, you can see once it's bent down and comes through there, there's a lot of access. And that's fine with me. So, the next one I'm going to do is, you have the green and white. Same thing, concept, heat shrink. And probably put the heat shrink on first, but that's fine. And it doesn't matter which order. The tricky part's going to be when you're going to put the rest of the wires together that are not straight up color coded. That's going to be the tricky part. So, green and white, green and white. Do a wrap. This is what they call a lap. I don't know why they call it lap, but they call it lap soldering. So this time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw some flux on there so it flows nice and easy. Make sure everything's out of the way. Heat your tip. Start in the center and let the solder move on its own. It will follow the heat, and then the flux will guide the solder. I don't know if you know how to solder or not. I recommend you learn. It's a very good skill to have. So that one's done. The one thing is going to be to put the heat shrink over top. This heat shrink might be too small. Huh. Well, just gotta work it. Gotta work the heat shrink. Yeah, this heat shrink's too damn small. I don't like that. Huh. Well. Alright, next one I'm gonna do. Get that out of the way. I can fix that electrical tape. So you have 4 more wires. 2's done. This is the tedious process you're going to have to do to fix this. So you have 4 more wires. You have a solid yellow, you have a yellow white, which is right here, solid yellow white, or solid blue white, which is assuming because they're together, they run together with this harness is what they go to. And then I'm assuming the black green is the red green, and the blue is the solid green. That's what I'm assuming. I could be wrong. I won't know until we try this. Could get my ass in a whole lot of heap of trouble. You know, I don't know. But I mean, common sense, that's what I would think that it would go. There might be something online. I didn't look it up. But, get larger heat shrink, because, the connections on here, when you make the connections to the harness, they're a little bit larger than the diameter of the heat shrink. So, like I have a size bigger. I'll wrap after I heat shrink, I'm gonna wrap these two up individually with electrical tape. I have like 600 volt electrical tape. And then I'm going to make sure it fits nice and snug inside of here. Once I've got it completely, I gotta put it all back together, and then I gotta fire it up and see how it's gonna respond. So, that's that process. So let me get all these connected and put it back. But that's how you do that. That's how you rewire this harness. But I want to put those together. Okay, guys, here they are. They're all soldered. Like I said, green and white, green and white. This is black and white, black and white. Now this is the one that really kind of threw me off. This is black and yellow. I did orange, or red and green. Only because this is solid yellow, yellow. This is yellow, blue, yellow, white. This is what I'm assuming. Solid blue, which is solid green. And they're all been soldered, hard, connected, basically. Like direct, no crimp or anything. Nothing like that. So then you just squeeze this connector down through here, and it connects to the throttle body, but that's how that runs there. So I got larger heat shrink, which I got to put on. Haven't done that yet. I kind of went in order. Most harnesses are put in order how they're designed by the manufacturer who designs harnesses. So then engineers go with that route. I might be able to get this one squeezed up. Yeah, I have success with that one. The other one I don't have success with, but it doesn't matter. So this I'm gonna have to wrap electrical tape. That's when I was able to get covered. So take the heat gun. And do heat shrink all this up. Won't take long. That's good. Yeah, that one's still not, that heat shrink is too small for that yet. That's my bad. I should have used a larger size, but I wasn't thinking. Little electrical tape. And I've never been fancy about this. I just wrap it tight. And this will work just as the same as heat shrink. Heat shrink is just, you don't have to do all the extra wrapping. Those are all done. This sits. I'll bring the camera back up. So that's all connected, I said. And then the harness sits down behind the fuel line, the front fuel line. Let me zoom way out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in. And you can see right here that it goes at an angle like this. And then it alright, to my two hands, just wiggle that in and hear the click. This goes here. Now the reason I'm putting this back on before I actually secure the wires back in the carriage, I would call this like a electrical plastic carriage or something, because I don't want any of these exposed. So for some reason I don't want to break this. Remember, BMW is excessively fragile when it comes to their plastic. So what I'm doing is I've just tucked this back in place, and I just loop these around and tuck them down. They are fine. In fact, a loop is not a bad thing to have at all. And then what you want to do is put your carriage cover back on and re-secure the metal thing, and then put your air duct work back on, replug the mass airflow sensor in, and fire up your whatever series you're replacing. I am fortunate that this throttle body is accessible. You know, even if it was in a rough area, I would have done the same thing. Okay, so I got the air duct back on. Now these are stubborn. I don't care how loose this is stubborn. But these are 6 millimeters. That's what I usually take it off. I reconnected the mass airflow sensor, which is also on this car. The air temperature, the intake air temperature control sensors all in one. So when you put the air duct back on, make sure to put this side on first. Slide it all the way in. You have a little notch groove here that sits on this. Be careful, because if you fracture this, cause a break or crack it, you're gonna have a leak somewhere. And I mean, it's I love BMW, but some of their plastic, let me tell you, it was a T30, and you don't have to overly tighten them, but they do hold your carriage up against your intake, so, which is good. That's back together. So I'm just going to tighten these down, and then I'm going to start the car up. Okay, so I double checked to make sure that nothing was left on top of the engine, tools, anything that I was working with. Now I'm going to start it up. Everything's tightened down. I double checked everything. And like, I'm only going thorough like this because not all the wires color codes match, I'm assuming. So let's cross fingers. Now, I have a whole bunch of stuff on my dash anyway. I'm still putting this car together. That's why you can see all this.
Laser. GPS connected.
I'm not getting any codes immediately. I would say you would have something if it was wired wrong and it idled down. If it was wired wrong, you would have got an immediate something. Something would have started, would have died or something. That's pretty much how it goes. That's how it went. The ABS and everything on my car and active steering, I believe it's the ABS module. I have not gone around to repairing that yet. I'm doing things in processes, so I have other cars and stuff. So, but I'm pretty sure. And I'm sorry that it's not better there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out on a drive, see how it handles. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm pretty sure that's done. I hopefully should not have any more limp mode. I shouldn't have any more shooting potentiometer codes, anything like that. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Have any questions, comments? Leave questions, concerns. Leave in the comments. Thanks. Take care.